And without further ado, let's bring in our guy from Huddle It Up Films, Jason Smith. We bring him on this time of year, Sarah. We bring him on right before roster projections and 53-man roster cuts in the summer. He is the man, and his annual Raven-centric big board is now out, and we're just going to drill him on questions. Let's do it. What's up, brother? Great to see you, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Let me get head level with you. There we go.
There we go. Jason, how many people have you watched film on? Prospect?
This year more than last year. Usually it's around 230, 240. Oh. This year around, Sarah, believe it or not, up around 270, 280. I saw you bring up the Daniel Jeremiah tweet earlier, and I couldn't agree more. It's a starter draft. Usually positions like guard or defensive tackle, once you get to the 14th, 15th guy, they all start looking the same. Same with running back. You're like, okay, maybe this could be an undrafted guy or a fifth round. They all start kind of looking the same. Defensive tackle, it was just one Raven-looking guy after another. And not the smaller, undersized guys, different shapes and sizes, play like a Raven-type people. So getting the big board out this year, I usually get it out about a week after the combine. Took me an extra week to put it out. And I'm having a hard time with the end of the board. I'm going to have some more studying to do, actually, as people keep bringing up names. Hey, look at this guy. Look at that guy. So we've been having fun on Monday nights on the channel, going over some names and doing our thing.
Jason, I completely undersold you at the top of the show before you were in the waiting room. I was like, Jason watches so much film. I was like, I think it's around 50, 60, 70 players. 270, Bobby. I was off by 200.
Yeah, there is 188 on the board this year, Sarah. Last year was 184. And to be quite honest with you, I think I started with 197 players I wanted to list, but I didn't want to create a new row and really mess up the way the big board looks. So I was just like, I'll just cut. I could have added more.
Let's just cut to the chase.
What's that?
Bobby, you might have. Do we have the big board? Can we show it?
Oh, I'm going to it right now. Let's cut to the chase. Bring this sucker up. You asked us to, and as you guys can see, there's 3 different tabs down here. Jason's asked us to hover on the positional ranking. So, dude, the floor is yours. Obviously, this thing is color-coded. It's also broken down by position. So why don't you just take us through this from 1,000 feet up in terms of your objectives in creating this year's big board?
Absolutely. Well, I actually had to create a different tier, the purple tier this year, where I broke up. The blue section was going to be so big, the day 2 picks, day 3 values, that I decided to break them into 2 just to not have a giant blue section. So the first thing that sticks out, the reason this draft is getting a bad rep, is the very top, the lack of star power. Last year, I had 8 players with a true first-round grade. Those are players that would be first-round picks in any draft, and if you took the last 3 drafts, put them together, they'd still be a first-round pick. That's the way I was taught way back in the day. Just Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter fit that category.
Wow.
Then I go to the predicted first-round grades, which are the light green. The second-round grades, there are about 51 players. And you can follow along this big board tab. It's on my YouTube. It's on my Twitter. So you guys will see it on draft day as I update them. If you guys are watching the vault, I'll be taking these names off the board as they get drafted. And then it just goes down there all the way to guys that'll be drafted on day 3 priority free agents. But the one thing I always stress is the blue column, the day 2 picks, guys that'll get either picked on day 2, or if they last to day 3, there'll be a value pick, a guy you would target on day 3. There are 112 of those guys this year. That's really what the board boils down to, guys. Like you're not going for number 160 on your board. You want to try to target those 112 guys, which is about a little more than a normal year. Those are the guys in the 5th, 6th round. There's going to be a few guys hanging out from that column that I'm really going to want to get my hands on. Now, of course, full disclosure, I don't know anything about the players' medicals, and I don't know anything about their off-the-field habits, what they are like as an employee, how dedicated they are to football. EDC talks about their drivers, things like that. I'm just going off the tape. I watch at least 3 games of each guy. Now, the guys like Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, I see him so much that I really, watch the game and I'm like, there's no way they're getting to 27 and we're not trading our entire draft away to get one. So there's some nuance to it, but yes, Raven-centric, Sarah, as you brought up earlier. So we need a safety. Yes, we do need a safety. Ardarius is in his last year. And my soapbox on the safety is this: You have one of the greatest defensive weapons in football on your team in Kyle Hamilton. Do you really want him playing 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, what I call it babysitting the back end, deterring the deep throws? Or do you want him harassing quarterbacks, making tackles for losses, playing the slot and being around the football a lot? So if you want to maximize Kyle Hamilton, you better get another safety that can play free safety that Marcus Williams is all old role. And of course, Ardarius is only here for this year. So the Ravens are in great shape with so many players coming back, a rare spot where they can grab the best player available.
So I want to dig into safety just a second. But when you said that you only have 2 true first-round grades, that to me says do not trade up. Everybody wants to see you trade up just because you think that you're getting a super better player, but you're saying not a good year to trade up in the first round.
Yes, and of course there's going to be players that are worthy of going in the first round. That's not what the true
Sure.
round grade is about. These are players that are your studs, your superstars, your perennial Pro Bowlers, your Jamar Chases of the world, your Myles Garretts of the world, and that come out in the draft. And to me, there are only 2 players. I could have stretched it and been generous and added some more guys that I know are going to go in the top of the first. But, by my strict grading system in any NFL draft, and if you took 3 drafts and put them together, there are only 2 players that you would guarantee would go in that first round.
Wow.
So looking at safety, though, digging a little bit deeper there, are you in love with anybody based on fit? Like put maybe play style just overall and narrow it down to the projected fit in Baltimore for what they'd be looking to have alongside Kyle Hamilton. Who do you think is the best fit that represents what they need?
Well, in the first round, just to give some context, there has not been a safety drafted in the first round the last 2 years. The last time safeties were drafted in the first round were Kyle Hamilton, and then I believe the last 2 picks of that round in 2022 were Lewis Sine and Matt Elam's. Maybe it was Matt Elam's brother. In any case, there were 3 safeties taken in that draft. Last 2 drafts, no safeties taken. So if you're looking in the first round, 2 names that you'll see frequently in mock drafts, and I believe these guys have been mocked to the Ravens in some of the expert drafts, Nick Eamon-Warry out of South Carolina and Malachi Starks from Georgia. Both of those guys, I think, fit. They fit well. Right now, I have Eamon-Warry just ahead of Starks, although if you prefer Starks better, I do not blame you. They're that close to me. Both of those guys have the capability to play on the back end and free Kyle Hamilton up, which is what I'm really looking for. Bo Braid, Sanusi Kane, they can play strong safety. We need someone who can be a true free safety with range. Eamon-Warry is tall like Kyle Hamilton. He's 6'3", 220. He's got offensive lineman type arms. And Eamon-Warry ran a 4.38, guys, at the combine. Now, it's just a 40 time, but a 4.38 is a blazer for somebody that's 6'3", 220. So he's led his team's tackle production is outstanding himself. So he flies around, gets to the ball, makes plays on the ball. And then Malachi Starks is just your silky smooth, prototypical free safety. And if you drafted one of these guys in the first round, you would have them for 5 years, potentially. And then, I think Kyle Hamilton's safe to say he's a priority sign. You would have 2 very talented safeties, which would allow you to free up the entire defense up front and let you do what you want to do. And one more name I'm going to throw out there, talented safety from Notre Dame, Xavier Watts. I gave him a true second-round grade. He's number 44 on my board. He would be someone that if the Ravens traded back in a draft like this where there's so many starters and they say, look, we can get the same level player at 34 that we can at 27. We can draft Xavier Watts and pick up an extra early 3rd rounder, take a shot at another starter. This is one of those drafts where I'm not team trade back guy, even though I love the draft. I want to get value players. I want to get starters. But in a draft like this where you hear it, and I agree with all the experts, the value between pick 15 and say 35, 36, you're basically looking at the same grade player.
Wow. Okay. So where would you, because I would like to see the Ravens supplement at edge rusher. I know a lot of fans are the same way, especially with your top 2 guys not under contract beyond 2025. Number 1, can you take me through some of your favorite guys for number 27? And my second question off of that is there like a combination that you would like to see of positions when they're drafted? Like, would you say like edge is better at 27 and then come back for safety? Or would you just be like, okay, safety guy here because of who's there and then get an edge later? So first question is your favorite edge guys for number 27. And then my second question is like the combination of positions of when to draft them.
At number 27, I think the guys in the green there, Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Mike Green, Michael Williams, I imagine all of those guys will be gone before pick 27.
Okay.
My favorite guy is Donovan Eziraku out of Boston College. I'm sure he has a lot of fans in the chat. Second most sacks in the NCAA with 16 and a half. And he had some of the more positive notes that I made on anybody. You're talking a professional pass rusher. My comp to him would be an Elvis Dumerville. He's only 6'2", but he's got really long arms, some of the longest arms among all those guys listed there, which gives him an extreme leverage advantage. He basically disappears from these tackles with his long arms, who are, professional blockers, the best blockers in the country, because he can get so low to the ground, and he's 6'2" in the first place. Got a plethora of moves. He is developed. He is ready to rush the passer right now as a sub rusher. Maybe his run defense takes a year or two to develop. But if it's, minute and a half, one timeout, the other team has the ball, left and a half, and you want somebody to go get the pass rusher, Eziraku is ready to do that. Arm over swing counter, keeps them off balance. There are so many reps on tape of Donovan Eziraku of tackles just failing to get meaningful contact on him. I mean, they'll touch him, but they're not affecting his rush. It's very, 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 very interesting player. And then below him, Shamar Stewart is the opposite. He is more of the bigger version of Adafio Way, a physical specimen. He only has 4.5 sacks over 3 years. He had a sack and a half last year. Some of that is due to Shamar Stewart having to do the dirty work. Some of that is his lack of finish. So you'll see Shamar Stewart higher on a lot of lists than he is on mine. I prefer the production and the upside of Eziraku. I think is absolutely wonderful. And then the second part of your question, Sarah, sorry to ramble. This is where the positional instead of having the big board, the positional ranks is helpful to look at. Because you can see all the edge rushers that you have, 18 rushers that we're targeting, from Ashton Gelati at number 18 all the way up to Carter at number 1. Look at the depth on the defensive line. Look how many guys are in the blue or above. Whereas if you get to your guards, if you want a guard that can play next year, Faalele is a free agent. Andrew Voorhees only has 4 starts under his belt. You better get a guard early. Safety, same thing. You're talking about a true free safety. Those don't grow on trees. It is hard to get a rookie to come in here and man the back end with intelligence. So you better get one of those early. So cornerback, as always, there are a ton of them. Wide receivers, as always, there are a ton of them. But if I were to order this thing, it depends how the Ravens feel about offensive line. I would go try to get one of the top 3 guards in this class, which a lot of people wouldn't like, or go get a safety early. And then when you come back in round 2, 3, get your impact edge rusher, get your impact defensive lineman to prepare for Michael Pierce's absence, Brent Urban still not being brought back. So a lot of ways to skin it, Sarah. It's almost like, if you ever do a fantasy draft, should I get my quarterback now or should I wait another round? A lot of that is going to be on the Ravens' mind here because of how the board is stacked.
Yeah. So, okay. The scenario that, Jason, if a guard ends up being selected at 27, in that scenario, in your mind, what would have happened before? What kind of run would have happened prior that would push the Ravens to be inspired to take guard at 27?
Well, Bobby, honestly, I don't think it would be anything in particular. I think it would just be the Ravens' personal choice. Because the way I look at it, one of the guards in the orange is going to be there. Either Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson, Gray Zabel. One of those guys is going to be there. But so are one of the edge rushers. So are one of the defensive linemen. Chances are probably one of the safeties. So I don't think it would be, it would have to do with how the Ravens prioritize it and not, this is a totally different level of player. If these level of players are gone, then we're going to have to go here. I just don't see it that way. The talent difference is so minimal in this range this year in particular that, maybe one of the guys in the green slips down, Bobby, and that changes the plans. Mm-hmm. Something unforeseen like that. But I only have 20 guys in the green this year. Last year I had, I believe, 22 because it's just so unpredictable. So if one of the top corners slips, like Will Johnson, speed questions. If it was this draft would have taken place in August before the season, he would have been a top 5 pick, and he would have been in that dark green. Will Johnson, there are speed questions with him. He hasn't run this offseason. There he is right there, Will Johnson. If he runs a 4.6 and he hasn't run yet, so we don't know, then no, you don't draft him. He's not a first rounder in every draft. And that's the concerns with Will Johnson. Great ball player, but at outside corner, you need speed.
Okay, so you said that you would go guard or safety first based off of your grades here. So I'm assuming because you have Booker with a 2nd round grade and you have Eamon Wari with a 1st round, if you had that scenario and both Eamon Wari and Booker are there, you're taking Eamon Wari?
Bobby, can you click over to the actual big board?
Sure thing.
And this will show the order that I have on these guys, Sarah.
Okay.
So this is the tab that most people look at, but I thought the positional rankings were a good snapshot.
Yeah.
You scroll down just a little bit, Bobby, because we're not going to need to look at Abdul Carter and Hunter up there. Eamon Wari, I have at 8, Sarah, right at the top where Bobby stopped. Starks,
Wow.
I have at 12. No matter who I put at 3, 4, 5, it just didn't look right. Like, it's just an odd year. It's just an odd year like that. Like, there's really no player I would consider worthy to be number 3 on my board, if I was being very, very honest. So any of those players in the green, and these are, I'm not going way out on a limb with any of these guys. As you can see, 31 and 32, Colston Loveland, Marion Hampton, those guys are probably going to go in the 1st. But it would shock me if the Ravens took a running back or a tight end with their 1st round pick. It ain't happening. I mean, those 2 rooms are stacked. So that's why you see players push down the board early, like Colston Loveland, like a Marion Hampton, just to make sure they're still on the board, but they're not players that I think that we would consider in the 1st round, considering where our roster is. So that's what makes it Raven centric. But yeah, you see Azir Araku right there at 21, Booker at 22, Shamar Stewart at 23. That is literally the order as of now, Sarah, that I would take those guys.
So 4 6th round picks, just looking ahead to day 3, 4 of them, which prompted us, of course, to go back down memory lane of how many they had in the 4th round back in 2022, right? Just a litany of picks. What do you think day 3 most realistically? What would be a surprise position that's taken of the 11, perhaps that could fall within that quartet of picks on day 3, 4 and the 6th?
Sure. And I want to know if Sarah remembers this, though, first. Do you remember me tweeting at you in 2022 saying that I think that we're going to pick up a punter, draft a punter? And
I
got
don't
a lot
remember that. No.
Oh man, that would have been. I wish you did, because I did
How
call.
dare
I believe you.
I called the wrong. I called the wrong punter though. The punter I had was Matt Ariza, and he went through off-field stuff. If you remember.
Did I respond to you?
Yeah, you told me no way. You told me
okay.
no way. But you were joined unanimously in that. But I say, Bobby, something that I think is worth noting is that all 4 of our tight ends / Ricard, counting him as a fullback tight end, are free agents after this year. All 4. Yep. Do you really want to reset an entire room and have 4 guys hit free agency at once? So one wild card thing I would throw out there, Bobby, is Charlie Kolar probably has some value to a team. So maybe there is a blocking tight end. You remember when Charlie Kolar went out and they asked Moncton about the press conference, what did Charlie Kolar mean coming back? And he pretty much said, we had to abandon running the I formation. So what I would suggest is if the Ravens are on the clock and there's a blocking tight end that they like, my guy is Jackson Hall's right there at number 110 on the board, professional blocker, pancaker, that maybe they say, hey, you guys, would you be interested in Charlie Kolar when you're on the clock, Team X, in the 4th round? And maybe they trade us their 4th rounder for Kolar, and maybe we give back one of those 6 rounders, Bobby, just to sweeten the deal to get it done. Draft a guy who is a better blocker than Charlie Kolar right now. No offense to Charlie. He's been amazing with that.
Yeah.
But just to have some stability in that room for next year so you don't have Ricard, likely, Kolar, and Mark Andrews all hit free agency at once. That would be a surprise, a sneaky surprise. I haven't heard anybody talk about.
If you're available, Jason, we definitely need to have you back on, because I have like 5 more questions that I know we need to end the show. We're already past 1 o'clock. So
You guys can have me on anytime. Believe me, I love this.
We
I'm
might
sorry
need
for
to have
talking
you
so
on
much.
almost daily leading up to the draft, but I'll just end with this because it was kind of a theme at the top of our show. Adam Schefter is saying that it would be the storyline of day 3 if the Ravens pick a kicker, and he thinks that they will. John Harbaugh indicated that they will. Do you feel like A, somebody is worthy of a draft pick, a kicker, and B, who would it be?
I do not think any of the kickers are necessarily worth a draft pick. But then again, I don't know anything about kicking other than the stats. So
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend that I can pick up on film what a kicker's ceiling is like the other prospects. I don't know. I just look at the stats. What I would say is it wouldn't surprise me again, Sarah, how do you think Jordan Stout has done? Do you think he's an all-pro punter, Pro Bowl punter?
No.
He's a free agent at the end of this year too. So do you bring in a new kicker, a new punter? I think that those things will be on the table. I think we have 4 picks in the 200s. So maybe at that point, the 112 guys on my board are gone. Maybe they're going to have a different list than me. But just giving an example, maybe at that point, all the players they're targeting is gone. They're like, you know what the heck? Instead of trying to fight to bring an undrafted free agent here, let's just use our last pick 204 or whatever it is, on a punter. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we keep drafting guys with upside that could surprise and step up and steal a job. We could really use a Chuck Clark. We could really use a Geno Stone. We could really use a Pat Ricard, an undrafted free agent, or somebody to really emerge from these late rounds, because I think Eric DaCosta and company has done a great job in the first round. Just look at the players. They're all going to get for second contracts in the NFL. But these late round picks, the Ben Masons, the Salas, the Caillou Blue Kelly, Sarah, I know you know how I felt about those players at the time. We need to start hitting on some of those. I would love to get some. It's time to get some more Genos and Chuck Clarks and some guys that can contribute to the team, even if they aren't, all-stars in that late rounds.
You are the man, dude. Your Raven-centric big board is pinned to your Twitter or X account. Can be found at Huddle It Up Films, and we appreciate your time always, man. You crush it. Thank you so much.
Hey, love you guys so much. And if anybody is passionate about the draft, it's kind of a niche subject, but the people who are on my shows love it. On my channel on Huddle It Up Films, I've done 3 draft shows. They were live, so they're on the live tab, and we'll be going on live the next 2 Monday nights. So anybody that loves the draft, we get great conversations over there. So I wanted to plug that. So yeah,
of course. Appreciate you, brother. We'll do it again soon. All right.
Thanks, guys. Hey, feel free to have me back on. I will.
All right,
Would love
awesome.
to. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, dude. 200 plus players. What do you say? 232?
270. He looked.
270.
He watched.
270.
And only 180 of them made his big board, meaning they're draftable.
Beast.
That's unreal to me.
It's a beast.